Looks yummy.
I'd like to formally start by saying I've gotten 2 parking tickets this week. Fuck you. Okay, so anyways, I'd also like to say that I am eating ramen noodles out of a to-go cup. Not cup of noodles. No. So, other than that, I'm here. I'm going to be reading my brother's essay, my 15-year-old brother's essay. So let's get right into it. Nixon Bone, Halboth, English 956. I won't read all that. Selfish acts in stealing food, needing comfort, prenatal fetus development, and tabletop roleplay games are required for survival. My brother is a huge nerd. Just like a content warning. Trigger warning. What would you do if faced with a threat to your survival? Am I illiterate? What would you do if faced with a threat to your survival? There you go. You would save yourself, right? What if your survival and somebody else's survival are threatened, but I can't read, but you can only save one? Would you take the selfish route and save yourself, or the other person's? I would totally freaking save myself. Like, let's be so real. I'm being selfish right now. According to the Oxford Dictionary, very good. I see you. Okay, A+. Selfishness is the act of caring only about yourself rather than other people. Well, duh. So by that definition, saving yourself for survival is selfish. But what is survival? Is it just living or living comfortably and happily? To determine if survival really requires selfishness, I will be analyzing The Book Thief. That's a good book. By Mark Zuckerberg. Marcus Zuga. It's kind of like a mukbang. Except I'm only eating shitty cup of ramen. In my own tales from my D&D table, I believe that selfishness is required for survival. This is because survival requires you to be selfish and take from others to survive. You to be selfish and put yourself before others. That is true. Even if you're not with other people, you're putting yourself and your survival above grass to eat, animals, fish, berries, Katniss and Pita berries. One big reason survival requires selfishness is that people require resources and have to take them from others in order to survive. Needed a comma there. This means that you or anybody else has to take from others in order to survive. To start, A Chance in the World by Steve Pemberton shows how taking from others is required for survival. When Steve's abusive foster family... Steve, get out, man. Where's Steve from Minecraft? Oh, God. I could actually shed a tear. That actually makes me so sad. He comes from that is just so sad. When Steve's abusive foster family limits his joy by giving him limited food and not allowing him to read in front of them. What the heck? Leading to Steve taking books from a neighbor and stealing food from his family. No, real. That's kind of like the guy from Encanto. This quote shows how Steve was not provided with much food or books. And in the following quote, I thought you might like these. Inside the box were stacks of books. Shows how he has to take from others in order to survive. Do you need books in order to survive, though? I mean, I need YouTube in order to survive, but books? I don't know. It does so even if you think survival is just staying alive and not thriving. Oh, okay. Which the books help Steve, from Minecraft, do by showing Steve planning on the best way to steal food from his foster parents, literally to survive, showing how survival requires selfishness through taking from others. My next piece of evidence relates to that part of selfishness and stems from The Book Thief by Mark Zuckerberg. In the book, the main character, Liesel, also lives with foster parents. What's up with foster parents these days? Why are we abusing our kids? And every night after moving in with them, wakes up with a night terror, screaming to her, Papa! You are like Papa! Wakes up in the middle of the night to comfort her as shown in this quote. The only good thing from these nightmares was that it brought Hans Huberman, her new papa, to soothe her and love her. Oh, okay. But came at the cost of Papa's time and sleep. Papa is getting old. He needs to go to bed. In order to comfort her, showing how survival requires selfishness through taking from others. Hans was the main source of money and therefore food for his family. Having a low-paying painting job, that's gonna be me, during World War II. Oh no, you misspelled world. It's okay. And meant, so sorry. He already had enough on his plate, meaning that yes, it was a selfless act of him to help Liesel, but it's still selfish to take his time and sleep. That's not her fault. Can we get some W's in the chat for Liesel? Because I'm sorry, that's not for her fault. His own survival and survival of the family for her own personal survival. Finally, an experience that I went through shows extremely well why taking from others is needed just for survival. Nixon, what did you go through? In order to be born, we have to have a mother constantly. I had that same mom, actually. In order for us to survive. Although I do not remember my own personal time in the womb. Neither do I. Twin. I should hope not. Interviews with my parents reveal that when my mom was pregnant with me, she was constantly exhausted and extremely uncomfortable at times, according to my dad. This shows how that taking nutrients and energy from my mother made her go through challenging times, only the most challenging, but I would not have been able to survive throughout without being in her womb and taking that from her, showing how taking from others is required for survival. That's true. And that's a real one to include that. My next example of how survival requires you to be selfish and put yourself first come from the fantastical land of the Forgotten Realms. Oh shit. I hope your teacher was woke like you and plays D&D, because if not, she's not gonna know what the fuck they're talking about. Me and my friends were playing a D&D campaign, and we were trying to escape from a giant... Sorry, I don't know where I were giant. A heist gone wrong. A fire demon way beyond our challenge level was summoned when we took a magical item off a pedestal, and it cornered us at the end of a hallway with our only escape being through a window beyond our reach. A rogue of the group tried throwing rope to the window and got a 19 on his roll since it was so good. The DM allowed for him to either help my character or the other friend's character, the bard, up with advantage. My barbarian character, Kurtbert, automatically jumped at the opportunity of putting himself first. I get that. The DM described it as, Ricardo, you and Kurt store up the rope, leaving Glenn behind, and the fire demon finally bust through the door with a wave of heat entering the room. Glenn being closest to you, you feel a bead of sweat fall. This is like fan fiction, like busting and beads of sweat. Fall down your neck as you are closest, making it the hottest. Okay, I can't, I'm sorry. For you, but also know he will probably go for you first. The demon caught up with us and almost instantly put the bard in death saving throws while we were escaping. My character being a big, strong man. Ooh. Big, strong man, you say, Nixon. Not for me. Maybe for you, though. Could have more easily climbed that rope than the bard, who could have benefited from the advantage roll, showing how in order to secure Kurtbert's survival, I was selfish and put myself first. You were selfish and put yourself first before others. And this is the conclusion. Survival requires you to be selfish and take from others to survive. And for you to be selfish and put yourself before others, making me believe that selfishness is required for survival. This all matters because it shows how selfishness is required to survive, making selfishness not always a bad attribute. Selfishness is usually depicted and thought of as a negative and bad, although excessive selfishness is definitely bad. It's okay to be... No, not. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. By taking from others or putting yourself first, if selfishness did not exist in humans, humanity would fail to exist. That's actually... whoa, that's actually really deep, Nixon. That last part, though. Bro's got me thinking. Wow. Okay, Nixon. You know what? I'm gonna grade you real quick. This ramen was so made. Grading. You get C for grammar. I know you wrote it in one night. I know you told me that. A for, like, interesting topic, though. And A for, actually, length. It was a pretty lengthy essay. Like, F for Mark Zuckerberg. A for Minecraft Steve. I'm sorry that he got abused. A for Papa. Probably B for the mom cameo. The mom cameo was real. A for D&D reference. I give you a 99% out of 100. We'll see what your teacher gives you, but I'm your real teacher tonight. Thanks for watching. And to Nixon, I hope you get an A. Bye.